Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Hi, Polly. Where are you calling from?
I'm good. I'm calling from New Jersey.
New Jersey. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about today?
Yeah, so first of all, I wanted to say congratulations on this new channel, and this is amazing.
Cool.
Not only did I love listening to you guys, I love watching like the two most beautiful people I ever know. So this is awesome. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you for the well wishes.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, so I had a question. This is kind of going off of the last, I don't know if it was the last one or the podcast before that. Antonia and Joel, both of you, spoke about food and how, health, how it kind of, we start incorporating that. And I've been on that journey lately. And I just thought it was, it kind of resonated with me a lot. So basically, my question is this something that kind of happens to everyone, like midlife? You kind of reach this point that, you want to improve, and then you find this health trend and go on that path. And then what I've been noticing with myself is I was going through healing, that was fine, and then I said I have to really start taking care of myself because I came to that place, thankfully. And I did. So I'm eating right, I'm exercising. Before that, you kind of have all your ducks in a row, and I guess that's when you land that healing point, and then that's taken care of. And now, even though I'm doing really well, there's this annoying voice that's, what's more? Like, what do I bring? What do I bring? So is this kind of normal? I'm an ENFP, by the way.
Okay.
When you say what,
so is like any never satisfied?
when you say what do I bring, what do you mean by that?
Well, a contribution in a way that's like large, because day to day, community, family, yourself. So now I incorporate myself into that community and family and yes, I'm taking good care of myself as well. Everyone around me, and, we're all kind of jiving together. Everything's great, blah, blah, blah. But there's still that, okay, there's got to be something else I should be doing. Where people around me are like, you're just crazy and you're just like unappreciative. And I'm like, no, I appreciate everything. There's just something more. I don't know. I probably sound like a crazy person right now.
No.
Yeah.
So let me just kind of tell you what I'm hearing you say, Polly. I'm hearing you basically say, I had some stuff to get together in my life. Like, I was living a very free-form life. I didn't have a lot of routine. I wasn't taking care of my health. And I put attention to that. And I've gotten my life more stabilized on a more routine basis with my health, with my life, my family, and everything. And it almost sounds, you didn't say this, but it almost sounds like in the subtext of what you said that it was like a feeling like once you got all that handled, your life purpose, or at least your life passion in the moment for the next maybe decade or half decade, would emerge from that. Like, getting all that settled would then, the Red Sea would part and you would see the clear path in front of you or whatever. And it would be like, oh, that's the way I've got to go. Or, whatever metaphor would be, maybe not the Red Sea parting, but basically it would be clarity for you based on putting some of those things together. And you're almost like, that clarity's not coming to me. Like, I have a desire to do something bigger and more epic with my life than what I feel like I'm doing now. Not that what you're doing is not epic, but you just have this desire for something. And you were hoping that putting all this in place was going to lead you there. And it hasn't yet. And now you're like, well, where do I look? What do I tether to? How do I know what I should be going toward? Or am I being, even more important, am I being selfish or ungrateful for desiring something more than all the wonderful benefits that I have and all the routine that I've created?
Yeah, you totally nailed it. Yeah, both of those. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So is that kind of, and also, again, I'm 47, so it's like midlife. I don't know if this is crisis. I wouldn't call it crisis because, it's socially and, you know, it's all in place, but like internally, there is that part of me, what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
What you just expressed. Yeah.
So the two things.
So that it's a tough. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I don't want to cut you off if you have more nuance to give. I've got two things coming up for me though. So I'll go ahead and say them.
Well, she say them and then she can chime in again.
All right. So the two things that are coming up for me is, yes, extroverted intuition's job is to never be sated. That's its job. Its job is to constantly be exploring and looking for new patterns and looking for novelty. That's its job. And those of us who have it, we have a tendency to struggle with a sense of restlessness when we're fully in our extroverted intuition. So that's part of being an ENP. Part of it is that we just always have to know what's next, what's coming up next. Oftentimes our work is when we're balancing that other side of the polarity of introverted sensing, or what we call memory. When we're balancing that part of ourselves, what we do is we look for a sense of rootedness. We're looking for a sense of a way to not have all of our exploration and all these new thoughts and concepts and the experiments we run and the travel we do and all this stuff, to not have it just be this big mess that gets lost upon our death, right? We have to have a sense of rootedness. We have a sense of framework. We have to have a through line of our life that we can rest into in order to be able to then organize all of that stuff that we've accumulated throughout our lives, all those experiences and all those patterns and all those connections. That through line of introverted sensing allows us to have like a foundation to put all that stuff into, so that we don't lose it. Because the challenge with extroverted intuition is that it's always looking for the next thing. And that means that it burns the work it has already been doing. So what I hear from you is that when you started addressing and attending to your life and to your body and to your health, what ended up happening is that you ended up having now a rhythm of a through line, right? Like now you've got some things handled, which are like things like health, which for us ENPs, oftentimes our physical health is represented in our improved relationship with our introverted sensing, because an improved relationship to health means routine. It means that we have to be eating in a certain way. We have to be like addressing the kinds of foods we're eating and when we're eating and when we're working out. And to do that all haphazard means that we don't ever get any traction. So introverted sensing allows us to create a sense of traction in our life. And once we get that stabilized, our extroverted intuition goes, okay, now what? Now what else can we plug into this system? So that's the first thing that comes to mind. And the second thing that comes to mind is that, yeah, that's very predictable, also according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what my observation has been for a lot of people is that when we're used to being stuck in what's called Maslow's basement, right? So the first layer of Maslow's needs, all humans have survival at the baseline. But once we get survival needs met, we go up to safety and security, which is a sense of like not having to survive every day, but now we like have kind of sort of a rooted safety and security. We're not just trying to get food for the day, but we're actually trying to like now make sure that we can like pay our bills for the month, because we know we're going to survive for that day. But the question is, what is our long-term survival? So we start locking that down. And once we get a sense of safety and security, then we move up to the need of love and belongingness. And then we start looking at relationships and who's in my life and can I improve those relationships and how can I get those good, and have my need of being loved and feeling a sense of belongingness in a community sated. But then as soon as that happens, then we bump up to self-esteem. Now, self-esteem is how do I do things like improve my situation? How do I become a better version of myself? How do I improve who I am? And how do I contribute, right? Self-esteem is oftentimes when we ask about contribution. And then at the top of the pyramid at this point is self-actualization, which is when we start to see ourselves transform and become new versions of ourselves. So what it sounds like to me is that you got your Maslow's basement needs met, right? You're out of survival, you're not in safety and security, and you're not in love and belongingness anymore. You've got those handled. And so now you're popping up into self-esteem. And when people are used to staying in Maslow's basement, and you'll kind of see people when they get to self-esteem almost not know what to do about it. And so they sabotage themselves and synthetically go back into the basement, right? They like go, it's almost like they'll pick fights with spouses, or they'll create financial problems, or they'll create all this drama. A lot of times what happens is I notice a lot of people create drama in love and belongingness. And then they'll just have like all these dramatic relationships, and they're always fighting with somebody, or there's always drama going on. And that's them having peaked up into self-esteem and not knowing what to do about that. Like, okay, so now I'm supposed to get into personal development and improve myself, and now I'm supposed to be a contributor in a big way. That feels weird. And there's not a lot of maps there. There's not a lot of people there. So then they just kind of shove themselves back down. And what I hear from you is in the Myers-Briggs model, you got your introverted sensing rhythms down, you got your rootedness down, and now your extroverted intuition is all excited. And that happens simultaneously by going, like, sort of graduating to the next Maslow level of self-esteem. So now your extroverted intuition is like, okay, how do I contribute? How do I give back? What do I do now? And I think that that's very natural to get to that point. And I think that that's actually a really good place to be. It's a place that doesn't have a lot of clarity initially, and it's a place that doesn't have a lot of roadmaps, because everybody goes through self-esteem differently. Everybody finds their contribution differently. And so it's a place that creates a lot of question marks. And if you're a person who requires a sense of certainty to feel okay, that's oftentimes when you rush back to the basement. But if you can live in uncertainty for a while, if you can live in a place of experimentation, if you can live in a place where you're just sort of trying these things out, like going back to the question of, or the talk we did about your mess is your message. If you can start looking at things like, okay, so what was my journey? And what did I have to figure out and get through? And how do I feel like I can save other people hassle, pain, hours or years of their life? Like, what are the things that I can contribute? And I know I can because I've watched myself go through all of this process. How can I take what I've learned and now give back, because I'm in a really good position to do so, and not everybody is. That's kind of what I hear you, like, it sounds like you're moving into that space. So get experimental, use your extroverted intuition to start asking what if questions, and use your introverted sensing through line to sort of create a timeline of where you've come from, and see if you can use that function to help inform where you're going next in a sense of contribution. And just get used to a little uncertainty. Get used to being in a space of experimentation, because it's one of those things that you can't decide and then go act. When you're looking for life purpose, when you're looking for contribution, it's one of those things that emerges as you're active, as you're on your path, as you're doing different things. That's when life gives you moments of clarity to sort of calibrate and go, actually, this is the road I need to be going down. And you go down that road a little bit and you're like, oh, actually, I think this is the path off of that road that I should be going down. And then you find that path and you're like, okay, now actually it's this little trail. And then all of a sudden you're in a space where you're like, I have to go on the other side of that. And there may or may not be a trail. So I'm going to have to start creating this trail on my own. And that's when you find your life purpose. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah. That just like, I think the previous caller, Chris, I think it was, you should be getting paid for this, but thank you so much. That made a lot of sense. I mean, it's a lot of work. I realize it's not, snap on my finger. I mean, so far where I'm at right now, I'm extremely grateful, and I'm very proud of myself for sticking to things. And it's not usually like me. Like, I struggled all my life, even in my 30s, and it was always, yes, I can do this, and then I'll just go all in, and then it's like poof, it just goes away. Like, so this time, it's been almost like a year that I see consistency, and I'm proud of that. I'm thankful for that, and everyone else around me sees it. But they're like, like I mentioned, and everything you just said makes a lot of sense. It's a process, just like everything else is a process. And so going, seeing it from that angle, and I guess taking it in that way, everything you said makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much. And thank you for that advice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And congratulations on the consistency. That is not easy to do, particularly as an NP.
It's not.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
You. Yeah, no, it's a great feeling. And to other NPs, ENPs, whoever, I truly oh gosh, I know the pain. I know the pain, but it's totally worth it. It's definitely worth it. And I guess things will, like you said, I have to open, be okay. It's almost to the point that, sometimes I just want to like light a match and just like burn everything down and be like, okay, I just got it. Because I am also experimenting on myself, because that's who I have control over, right? I do experiment in health ways and different things that I'm not afraid, but to do it on a different level, where it makes a difference to other people, I can't just keep lecturing people and keep, because everything I do, I want to vomit it out to everyone I come across. And so there has to be more in order for me to find that. Yeah.
Resist the temptation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Resist the temptation to burn everything down. I know that you know that, but that's, I think that people are surprised by how much more uncomfortable uncertainty is than pain. I think we're used to pain. We know how to deal with pain. Uncertainty is a completely different animal. And so people will do things to get out of uncertainty that will generate pain, just because the feeling of pain is more familiar than the feeling of uncertainty. So that's when self-sabotage comes in. So I think that that's actually that's the discipline of moving to the stage of your life. The discipline of getting to the self-esteem place is sitting with uncertainty, like letting it wash over you, being okay with its existence, recognizing that it doesn't have to mean anything. All it means is right now, there's not clarity, and that's okay, because clarity comes over time. And to associate certainty with the passage of time is hard with us sometimes, since introverted sensing, the part of us that understands the passage of time the most, is our inferior or 3-year-old function. It really pulls on us to use that function to understand a through line. But everything, like we all understand things in retrospect so much better than we understand them before we take action. So I think that's really the discipline of this time frame, is just making peace with uncertainty and moving forward anyway. And I think you've got this. I mean, I think you're in a pretty good situation to be able to contribute and be a contributor. I mean, I know you, and so I know your situation, and I know how far you've come, and I mean, the amount that you've done and the amount of time you've done it in is actually quite impressive. But it still takes time, like you said. So that's the one thing, is just make peace with uncertainty and make peace with moving forward and having things, particularly as an ENFP. Jill talks about introverted feeling as being one of those things where sometimes you don't know the right decision until you've already made it. And then all of a sudden you're like, the parts of you that are like, no, not that. Then all of a sudden kick up.
Right.
There's going to be some of that, especially as an ENFP, as you move forward. There's going to be moments of like, oh, wait, that wasn't the thing I wanted to do at all. And then you'll feel obligated maybe because you said yes to something, and now you feel like you have to complete it. Now you're resentful. So maybe one thing you want to do as an ENFP is that anything you say yes to, make sure that it's not like a major commitment. Make sure you're not like locking yourself into something that's like a 2-year commitment. Make sure the things you say yes to have just short timelines to feel them out. And then if it's right, then start committing yourself to longer timelines. But that's the thing, is that you have to be in motion. You have to say yes to a lot of stuff. You have to feel what it's like to say yes to that thing, and then determine, was that the right thing? Maybe I should be heading in that direction. Or like, yes, saying yes to that was the best decision I made. So those are the kinds of moments that are coming up for you, and you'll find yourself, your voice, and your contribution in all of that. But just keep experimenting and keep going forward.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yep,
It's very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you
pleasure.
for
Love
calling
you guys.
in.
Thanks.